Andy Anderson, welcome to the Leaders Lab.
Thank you for having me, mate. Really pumped to be here.
Yeah, so good to have you. So I've been following you for a while, and I know, these days you're an author, you're a pro bodybuilder, you've done all these different things, and you help people scale up their coaching businesses. But I'd love to hear the backstory. How did you get here today?
Thanks, man. Yeah, absolutely. So I guess it all started with my own entrepreneurial journey. I started a business in Victoria in Melbourne about 15 years ago called Ultimate You, and I started as a PT. So I was a coach in the fitness space, loving that gig, loving transforming lives, loving looking after my own body and my own health. And so it really started, I guess, from a selfish point of view, just really wanting to improve myself and do better for me and feel better and live a better quality of life. And I became one of the top PTs in Victoria at the time and was doing really well as sort of a one-man show. But I was working in a gym where they feed you leads and they feed you business, and I was starting to feel very trapped in that environment, and also really curious to test myself and see if I could actually run a business. I was learning
Right.
sales skills and learning a little bit about entrepreneurship, but I wasn't really an entrepreneur. I wasn't really out there figuring it out, getting it done. And so
What I
I,
mean, not to interrupt, but what drove you to sort of the land of self improvement to begin with? Like when you were a kid, were you? Because I know you're very athletic now and stuff like that. But was that the case when you were a kid, or was it different?
no, it was different. I grew up and I was actually pretty overweight. I was struggling with my health and my fitness for a long time. My dad passed away when I just turned 15. And when he passed away, I sort of went off into a bit of a negative spiral. My poor mum was struggling a lot. I was the oldest in the house. We didn't have much money. So a lot of things were coming up, and I just really started going down the wrong path. I was eating crap. I was drinking alcohol. I was smoking marijuana and all sorts of things. And I was really young and just sort of let loose a little bit, and it took its toll on my health for sure.
I can hear
And
you. Was there a wake up? Was there a spot where you went like, I'm not doing this anymore, or like how did that come about?
look, man, there was multiple, to be honest. I
Yeah.
mean, I think when you get into that state and you're unhappy with your body and your mindset and your life in general, there's so many layers of unhappiness. And I was really just starting to notice them all. Some of my friends were going to prison and getting in trouble and things like that. I was, not looking attractive or feeling attractive. So I wasn't interacting with the girls like I wanted to.
Right.
And that was annoying me. And, I wasn't making money. So I felt like I was less than, because I just wasn't being able to help my family, help my mum, help myself. And so then I started getting worried about my future and thinking, fuck, Andy, you're meant for more than this. This isn't like what your life's meant to be like. And that's really sort of what pushed me forward. There's a great quote that goes, when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change, change must happen.
Yeah.
And I resonate with that so much. I use it a lot in all of my businesses, because I really think that you need that frustration and that fire within sometimes to shake things up and make proper change in your life. Otherwise, you get stuck in that loop of complacency and ease and dissatisfaction. And I just had enough of it. So that was probably the first trigger to get me moving in a different direction.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think that sometimes you know, we get what we tolerate, right? And for a while, I think like we'll take a decent amount of bullshit, right? Like we'll go like it's okay, it's all right, and then somewhere in there, like our soul knows what's up, right? Even though our brain doesn't, like our soul, I think knows what's up. It knows like we're destined for more. It knows we're not supposed to be sitting on the couch eating potato chips every day, but it takes a lot of repetition sometimes, right, for us to get to this point where it's like no more, And so I can relate. I've been in that position before myself. So yeah, please continue. So you went from back to the career part. You went from being a coach under someone else's wing, under someone else's, business, and then you had the bug to go out and do it on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I was really just in a phase of healing myself, growing myself, I guess my confidence was boosting. I was really starting to think about my future. Who do I want to be? Where do I want to be? I love the health space. I loved helping others. Nothing satisfied me more than seeing other people that were hating their bodies, hating their mindset, transforming, losing weight, all of those things. And so I had a real fire and passion, and decided that I wanted to go out and do it on my own. And so I did two things. Number one, I wanted to learn to be an entrepreneur, so I started reading and started figuring out where I could learn more from. And keeping in mind, I left school when I was 15 as well to become
Wow.
a chippy, to then be able to help my mum and help the family out. So I didn't finish high school, didn't have like a solid background in educating myself, but I did love learning, and I always loved learning. It's just I had to learn things that I felt applied to me at the time and were relevant.
Yeah.
And so I started listening to audiobooks. I started reading a lot more, and then I looked at doing a university degree in entrepreneurship, and so I signed up for that. I did one semester. I went in there one semester, and at this stage, I was learning marketing from legends like Rich Efron online and
Sure.
all of these crazy digital marketers. And then I'm going into uni and I'm learning marketing, and they're just teaching such outdated topics and methodologies. And I was really getting frustrated in there, going, "This isn't relevant to what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to, learn how to get leads online and do this and do that, and it's not applying to what I'm doing here." And so there was a mentor actually at uni, and I went to him and I said, this is what I want to do. I want to raise capital. I want to open a gym with this concept, and I don't feel like I'm learning here and getting what I need from it. He just said, "Andy, some people are meant for uni and some people are not. You are not. Go out and
Right.
raise capital and just open the damn business." And I said, "Sounds like a fucking good idea to me." So that's what I did. So I
It's really
left.
cool it's so cool to have a mentor that is okay with kind of blessing going outside the lines, you know?
So true, man. And
Yeah.
he's an absolute jet. And he was obviously in the institution and he was
Yeah.
part of the university, but he just knew. Some people are just not built like that, and they've got to go out and do it differently. And
Well, I
so
think when you're going on your own like you were and the speed in which that's going to happen just isn't there, right? It's not that there's no good information there. It's just that you have to get through 90% BS to get to the 10% that you need, and you probably didn't have a lot of time or patience or money to sit
yeah.
through it and just wait for it all to click years later, right? Like you needed something to happen now.
Exactly. And especially when you're getting that contrast of like all killer, no filler
Yeah.
internet marketing, digital marketing advice from some of the best in the world. It's just like you're getting constant aha moments and epiphanies and excitement around what's possible and generating cash flow now. And then you're going into uni and it's just so slow and
Yeah.
long and you can't see the relevance. And so, that was enough for me to say goodbye, figure out that mentors and surrounding myself with geniuses was way more efficient for me, better way of learning, and I guess a hack. And that's what I did. I went out and I created a business plan, and I decided that I wanted to go out and raise capital. And while I did this, I also left the gym and I started a bunch of boot camps. And so I was outdoors running 6 locations across Melbourne. They were all packed. I'd have between 50 to 100 clients in each one. But as you're probably aware, it's so seasonal. You're
Sure.
outdoors in winter, it's raining. In summer, it's hot, which is great. But it just drops off because of the elements. And so I knew that I had to open this business and have a gym and have a home for my clients. And I went on that adventure and I went out and I ended up raising $500,000 on my first business. We opened a massive gym in the middle of the city in Melbourne. Crazy, ridiculous rents, which again, I was so naive. But me and my ex-wife went into this, and God bless her, she just had my back no matter what, believed in me, believed in the dream. And we've got this awesome photo. I'll have to send it to you one day, but it's this photo of we only had 20K initially raised. And so that was all the money that we had. But I thought in my naive brain and my young mind that if I could get a building and walk people through it, they'd see what I see and feel, and they'd just give me money. I would magically make it happen. So
It's like, did you ever see Field of Dreams, that movie with Kevin Costner? It's there's a tagline in it where it says, if you build it, they will come. And it was like this
Yes.
baseball field, right? And it's sort of like, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
just put it out there. Did you have, I'm switching gears a little bit, but
Yeah.
um, did you guys grow up with much money, or was it kind of scarce, or what did that look like for you?
Very scarce. Yeah, very scarce. There was constant arguments in my family about money with my mum and dad. They struggled a lot with money constantly. We weren't able to buy the things we wanted to buy. I
Yeah.
was never able to get the cool shoes or the things that I wanted to get growing up. So, money was always a struggle for sure. And I guess that was one of the motivators for me to become my own man and build businesses and make money and be able to
Has,
support myself and others.
have you been able to adapt? I mean, obviously, because I was in a similar boat where there's kind of a scarcity there, and it created
Yeah.
this massive desire in my 20s and 30s to earn, but almost to the point where it was probably a detriment because like my identity was really tied to what I could earn. So when it went down, I felt terrible. When it went up, I felt great. And it was probably not super healthy, although there were certainly some cool things from my past that leverage did help get things going. How
Yeah,
has
yeah.
that played out for you as you've gotten more successful? Have you had to work on your money mindset, or has it been pretty solid and consistent since you started that first gym?
No, it's a great point. It's a really good question. I think that I'm contemplating right now. I don't think
Yeah.
I'm fully detached from that yet.
Yeah.
I think as you mature in business, you slowly start to remove your success and money and business from your actual identity.
Hmm.
And I feel like I'm well and truly on that journey as we speak, which has been phenomenal. And only because of the huge shifts that happened during COVID,
Yeah.
because I had to close a lot of businesses. I lost a lot of money and I've had to rebuild everything and get back up and fight again, which has, tested me. I'm so proud of myself in what I've been able to come back and achieve after that. But, taking hits like that and having those losses, it really shows you who the fuck you are very quickly. And it also, it makes you contemplate, your identity and how tied you are to business and outcome and success and all of those elements. And so, I think initially I was super tied to it, and my identity was interwoven with success and with money and all of those elements. I think now I'm so much more mature around that, and I understand the game a lot better, and
Yeah.
I can disassociate with it a lot more now, which is so freeing. And that's such an awesome place to be as an entrepreneur, where you can play the game but not let the game play you. And I feel like I'm well and truly in that at the moment, which is fantastic.
That is
But
fantastic. I think it leads to better results too. You know what I mean?
for
Because
sure,
there's not
for
all this
sure.
energy around the money, or at least all this nervous up and down energy, this manic energy, where it's just like, look, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and I know that the North Star is over here, and on the
Yeah,
way to the North Star, I'll get kicked and knocked down or whatever, and I'll also have some wins. But we're going to the North Star, right? So it doesn't. I can have a lot of emotions attached to it or not that much, but that's where we're going, right? And so I've had to learn that the hard way. Like I didn't know that for sure in my 20s, 30s, and most of my 40s probably, but yeah, I've definitely got that now. So let's go back though. So the first gym was how far before COVID? Like what year was that?
so the first year was 2008, I think.
Okay.
So
So you had
yeah,
a good decade plus in there before COVID hit. So walk me
yeah.
through the
That's
building
I think
stage.
it was yeah. So that's my bad. It was about we're in there for about 10 years. We're in there for about 10 years. So yeah, so it might have been yeah, yeah, 2012 maybe. Anyway,
Okay.
roughly around that time.
Sure.
But yeah, look, it was a huge project for us. We risked it all, and we did get it off the ground, which is fantastic. We grew that business from one location to 18 locations across
Wow.
Australia, and yeah, full franchise system. Through that, we had a branch off of other businesses like a food prep company. We opened a restaurant and bar and a whole bunch of sort of cool little businesses that were little offshoots and fed into I guess the organic client base that we had in different ways. And that was incredible. It was amazing. But funnily enough, through COVID, Victoria had the harshest lockdowns in the world.
I remember that. Yeah.
There's no country that was locked down as long as Victoria. And unfortunately, my businesses were all in the industries that were hit the most. So it was, all the gyms got shut down first, the hospitality industry got shut down, and absolutely destroyed. So it was an eye opener. It was testing for sure, and we copped the brunt of it. But inevitably, I think that everything happens for a reason. I have to believe that. I think that life shakes you up like that to put you on the right path sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some incredible lessons on that journey too. So
Wow. I remember Australia really, really, yeah, getting the worst of the lockdowns. And then I don't know, like in the States, the government at least was like printing money for, restaurants and gym owners and stuff like that. Was there any kind of government relief, or was it just like, hey, you've got all these leases and all this overhead, and you
yeah.
just got to do what you got to do, either declare bankruptcy or move forward? How did it work for you guys?
Yeah, so then, look, there was a little bit of government relief, but it was more so in like weekly payments to individuals. There's a
Okay.
little bit of relief for businesses, but nowhere near enough to actually help the businesses overcome the challenges that were taking place. Because unfortunately, there were pauses on leases, but they were pauses. You had to then pay
Yeah.
back the time period. The finance on equipment and things like that kept going, and so everything inevitably stacks up and pressures you into positions that unfortunately would take you years to make the businesses profitable again. And so, we're seeing the aftermath of that now a lot here in Australia still.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot of big chains closing, a lot of businesses closing, and super unfortunate.
So what did you end up doing? So it's March of 2020, everything gets shut down. At what point do you make the decision that like, hey, we're gonna have to start shutting these things down? How long did that take?
Look, we held out as long as we could. We really pushed it as far as we could. And I mean, the first thing I did was I had business on the other side of the country. So that side of the country was open when Victoria was shut. So I flew up to Queensland, which, by the way, is the most beautiful part of Australia. So I was absolutely excited to get away from the winter. So I was up
Sure.
there and I was working. And when I was up there, I was like, fuck, I love this. I love this part of the country. I reckon I'm going to stay here. So that was one of the positives that was happening during that time. But unfortunately, in Victoria, things just kept getting worse and worse, and ended up dragging out over 3 years. And so we just sat still for a good 2 years and tried to hold it all off. But unfortunately, when things started reopening again, and then we're having to scramble and pay back, and in the gym game as well, you've got to remember that a lot of people's habits and rituals shifted during that time.
Right.
There was an incredible surge of people putting home gyms in. So
Hmm.
people had invested in all this equipment for the home because that's the only way they could train. People weren't going back into gyms because they were scared of germs and all sorts of stuff. And so you saw big membership dips. So not only were we then immediately trying to pay everything back, but you just had a fraction of the revenue coming through, and it was just a cluster F to
Oh
say
yeah.
the least. It was
But I'm
insane.
guessing that, and I'm guessing too, then everybody's fighting for the same clients, right? All the gyms are in the
Of
same
course,
position. So,
yeah,
so
of
prices
course.
aren't going up, they're going down versus some other industries like, barber shops and like all these other service businesses,
Yeah,
their prices went up and stayed up, right? But in gyms,
right,
I'm guessing it just probably got more competitive because you've got so
correct.
much competition out there and only so many people. And like you said, probably a third of the public migrated to, Peloton and everybody else. So that's
Mm.
nuts. So how did you pivot? What happened in that and led you to what you're doing now?
Yeah, so I mean, through that time, a lot of our revenue streams just disappeared. So we had to then, make money in different ways. I was moving straight into online coaching and doing, I'd already been doing business coaching and of course sales marketing coaching and health fitness coaching. So I was doing a lot of that online moving forward. But of course, I then started to think about what other businesses could we start to grow and push forward on. And so during that time, I started working heavily on helping others help move their businesses forward in sales and marketing strategies and to pivot their businesses because they were struggling like I was struggling. And really, it just started trying to help others get through the shitstorm that was taking
Right.
place and helping them pivot their businesses. And that was, really therapeutic for me as well to not only be able to work through my own shit at the time, but also help everybody else. And that's how Relentless Education was born. I ended up partnering with, a brother and a good mate of mine, one of my best mates, and we were working separately, and then decided to come together and really do something bigger and start helping coaches and service-based business owners up-level their businesses online and pivot and move forward. And so that's how Relentless Education was really born and formed, which is super exciting. And so through that period, I rebranded and created a different health and fitness brand called Change Labs. We launched a TV show on national TV during that time as well, which was a big accomplishment considering all of the crazy stuff that was taking place. And then we launched Relentless Education as well to help business owners overcome adversity and push through all of the challenges that they were facing.
So what's your client base? Like, I'm sure it's a wide variety, but like what is kind of a typical MO of a business or a client that you work with?
Yeah, look, for Relentless Education, we really help mission-driven entrepreneurs that are coaches or service-based business owners. Our first sort of, I guess, avatar or demographic is the individuals that are trying to hit that first $100,000 in their businesses. So really just figuring the game out, trying to nail their niche, trying to nail their avatar, figuring out how to put an offer together, build a program, figuring out the technology, how to build a landing page, copy, really just learning the basics and getting their head around it. And that's a really incredible program called the MVP. We have a lot of fun in that, help people get insane results, but that's helping them hit that first 100,000. And then once they've done that, we have a program called the Game Changers, which is this one behind me. And that's to help individuals hit their first $1 million. And that's all about scale, team building, systems, high level marketing strategies, Facebook ads, paid advertising. And that's a really exciting program, all about taking stuff to another level. So all of that really based around coaches and service-based entrepreneurs.
Love that. I mean, because you know this because it's your niche, but there's a lot of really good coaches out there that are really terrible business people, or just like they just have never been taught. So they have a good message. They're good at what they do. I know a lot of them. I'm a trainer for Tony Robbins. And so I have tons of friends in that environment that are really, they're so talented. Like they can run circles around me, but they're not great at putting a business plan together, or running a business, and certainly not good at marketing or knowing what their offer is or any of that. And so, yeah, it's pretty cool that there's someone out there like yourself that helps them get that message out so that they can help other people,
For sure. Yeah. And that's one thing that kills me, man. It kills me to see someone with so much freaking talent, skill, being able to impact people in such a powerful way.
Right.
And not have the reach, not be able to put themselves out there. And also, I know how freaking frustrating it is when you are so like inside, so hungry, so determined, but you just don't know what to do. Like what's the magic pill? What's the magic solution? You're trying to figure it out, you can't find it. And so I can really relate to individuals that are hungry, driven, mission-based, but just don't have the skill sets yet. And it's one of our absolute gifts and blessings that we can share that with people. It really makes us happy.
So, kind of on topic, but a little bit off topic. So, what is all of this about for you? Like, because I got a vibe from, doing my research on you and listening to you on other podcasts, but like, what's your North Star? Where are you trying to get to?
Look, for me, it's all about legacy. It's about, what am I going to leave for the people that I love? What can I leave for them right now, though, as well? And I think legacy is just about when I'm dead. It's about the legacy I leave in this lifetime. And I want to be able to look after my family. Luckily, I just moved my mum up from Victoria to Gold Coast literally last week, which was so amazing and such a gift. And it's those things that, for me, make everything worth it, make the sacrifice, make the pain, make all the last few years of fight, getting back on top. It's those things that make it worth it for me. So I want to be able to leave a legacy. I want to be able to leave something for the people that I love. I want to be able to inspire people and impact the world and I guess help people up level to something greater than they ever thought possible. And I want to be able to live a life that I'm proud of as well. This is why I push myself in the direction that I always do. Like, I always try to push myself out of the comfort zone and do things that scare the shit out of me, just to make sure that I can wake up and be proud of myself, like skydiving or the bodybuilding or, taking on big business opportunities that scare the crap out of me. All of it is to test my grit and test what I'm capable of, Because at the end of the day, if I turned away from that, if I took the knee and I was fearful, I wouldn't be able to look myself in the mirror the way that I do. And so
Yeah.
those are the things that motivate me to do more, be more, give more, love more. And I guess that's my mission.
That's really cool. I'm guessing there's this tie-in too that goes back to that kid that was 15 years old and was overeating and wasn't exercising, was smoking weed and doing all that stuff. And there's got to be something, a healthy kind of like that's not us anymore, right? Like, so if you even start getting like that, like complacent or lazy or whatever, there's part of your brain and of your spirit that goes, nope, like we're not going there anymore,
For sure, dude.
Yeah.
I agree. And I often remember thinking, like sitting on the couch and just hating myself for being lazy. Like, why aren't you running? Why aren't you off the couch? Why can't you do what this guy's doing? Or
Mhm.
why can't you have what they have? And I remember just sitting there, a lot of self-reflection, a bit of loathing, a bit of sort of disgust in, my lack of action and behavior, until I just couldn't handle living like that anymore. And I had to freaking do it. And I had to go and do the run, and I had to go and do the things. And, I guess I tap into that every single day, even now. And I guess I'm grateful for that. I don't think
Yeah.
I'd be who I am now if I didn't have that motivation.
No, well, I'm guessing too. I mean, whether it's you working with business owners now on coaches on scaling their businesses up, or whether it was back at the gym, even when you were working for somebody else, it's like nobody wants to hear something from somebody who hasn't done it themselves. So I'm guessing what made you successful as a trainer was your relatability. I mean, there's a million guys out there that can show you how to exercise. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
nothing special. I can go on YouTube right now and that's not a problem. But for someone to say, look, I've been where you've been, and it wasn't that long ago, right? And I know what you're feeling, but there is a better way, right? And there is a path. And I think whether that's, again, talking to a business owner or talking to the kid that's not exercising, like it all applies, right? And I think without that, you wouldn't be where you are right now.
I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
Awesome. So how can our audience get into, thanks so much for coming on, by the way. Love hearing your story. How can our audience connect with you? We're going to put all your stuff in the show notes, but not everybody in our audience is a coach, although there's lots of entrepreneurs and business types out there. What's the best way to engage with you?
For sure. Look, I spent a lot of time on Instagram, so you can
Yep.
follow me at Andy_I_Anderson. And of course, if you want to find out more about Relentless Education, you can go to www.relentlesseducation.com.au.
Awesome. And we'll put all that in the show notes. Thanks so much for being with us. Really good to meet you.
Thank you for having me, man. Really appreciate it.
All right. Take care.